Good evening, everyone. Treasure Troller here from the militant state of Michigan on this Christmas night. Not Christmas Eve, but the night of the 25th. And you can tell it's Christmas in the militant state because, well, it's shorts and t-shirt weather. It's 60 degrees out. Miss Thunberg, sorry, I hate to tell you this, but I kind of like it. Couple of things before we get into the main topic. For some of you that got Christmas gift certificates like Amazon, or maybe I got a good Goodwill one for you too, because I did give out 2 Goodwill gift certificates. But you're not sure what you're going to use that certificate on. I've got a few books that I can suggest, some readings that you can use that money on. The first one is the Ken Fight Blake Jordan series of books. There's 9 in the series, and I have read 7 of them. I have 2 more to go. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce this guy's last name because I didn't relook it. I'll just put a picture of the book. It's called The 6'10 Man. It's a great book. So if you're looking for something new to read, and maybe this one, I don't think this is a series. He does have a series, but I don't think it includes this one. But it's kind of centers around corporate espionage, a Jack Ryan looking into corporate espionage kind of novel. And of course, my favorite author, and you can never go wrong with a Michael Connelly book, especially the Harry Bosch series of books. And I have the last one of that one to read as well. I've read all of his Harry Bosch novels, except for this last one, which has been out like a year. So that's the first thing. The gift certificate thing, maybe I'll talk about later. I just thought about that. So the main topic was my time with Scientology. I did not, and I was very careful about this, I did not say in Scientology. I said with Scientology. So the backstory, before we get into the actual time with Scientology, I think I've sort of danced around it, alluded to it, never really said it, but I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for, 20-some years. Most of my cases, I've been a private duty nurse, one patient for the entire shift at their home, apartment, wherever. And probably 95% of my cases have been pediatrics, vent cases. So it's infants that come home on ventilators and G-tube feedings, and you take care of them until they're basically until their trach has been removed. So I did have some free time. So that's the first thing. So what would happen is there was a case that I was working, and the very last hour of the case, there really wasn't much to do. Everything had been done. Maybe you had some charting to do at the end. But unless something came up, you pretty much had that hour to yourself. So I'd always watch something on TV that I really wasn't all that interested in, because I didn't want to be interested in a show or interested in something and then have to leave and miss a portion of the show. So I always picked something that I really wasn't that interested in. So I started watching JAG. And of course, if you're a male and you watch JAG, you can't help but notice Catherine Bell. Now, I'm not sure where my intersection of Catherine Bell and Scientology happened, but I remember reading something either on JAG or Catherine Bell, and that Catherine Bell is a Scientologist. and they stated, or she stated for this article, that she had reached the level of clear, which meant nothing to me other than she's a Scientologist and she's reached the level of clear. This was before I'd watched any of the Scientology movies and anything like that. Now, I should say, before I get going any further, I started thinking about this because I was watching a guy, My Life in Scientology, a YouTube guy, Aaron, My Life in Scientology, and another one, Scientologist Audit, which is a great in-your-face. He's right down on, I guess it's Hollywood Boulevard. He's in front of the Scientology, not the Celebrity Center, but a Scientology center that tries to get people to come in and watch a movie or take a personality test, and he's trying to dissuade them to not go in because he's calling them a cult and whatnot. It's a really guerrilla warfare, boots on the ground, in-your-face channel. So that's why I got thinking about this. So back to that. So I see Catherine Bell. She's a Scientologist. She's reached the level of clear. So at this time, I had a couple of nights open, some availability, and I saw this ad online for a nurse at this drug rehab center, and it was in Manistee. I thought, wow, I mean, it's close. I don't have to travel so far, a couple nights a week. I'm not even sure if it was part-time. It was probably part-time or PRN, something like that. So I thought I'd apply for it. So in a couple of days, I get a response back, and they want to have me come up and interview. So the first person I talked to, and it was at the old hospital in Manistee. If anybody's familiar with it, it's on the south side of Manistee, up on the hill. Wasn't used, I don't know, for a number of years, but anyways, this drug rehab place went in there. I go up there, and I had this interview with this lady. I don't know if you would call her the director of the rehab center. But I'm kind of looking around the room, and I notice a book of Dianetics on her bookshelf. And I remembered Catherine Bell, Scientology, Clear, and whatnot. And so I asked her, what does clear mean? And she kind of explained to me what clear was, and she was asking me why you interested in Scientology or something like that. I go, that's Scientology, and she says yes, and she's like, are you interested in that or something? I just said, well, I'm just curious. I had read an article on someone, and they were a Scientologist, and they had reached the level of clear. So anyways, and this has never happened either, but after she dismissed herself from the room, and she came back a couple of minutes later with this camo dude. This looked like a military guy, you know, in combat camo fatigue, pants, with a t-shirt. I'm thinking about that Heartbreak Ridge when they were in there. Is that the one with the Clint Eastwood in there? He's training the recon team. They look just like that, with the camo pants and the green shirt. And he takes me down into the bowels of the basement. He's got like a freaking combat belt on with gloves and I'm not sure what all anymore. But you could tell he was security. They take me down, and within like 15 minutes of talking to them, they asked me to take a piss test. which didn't bother me. So everything comes back clear. I was clear. So I'm going to start working there. Now, I have no idea what I'm really getting into. I go up there for kind of an orientation to work with the current night nurse. And so I get up there, and the first thing is they have this like really archaic computer system. The printers, it was just like dated from the last century. And as nurses, you weren't handing out medication. You were handing out herbal supplements and vitamins. If you had a headache, you didn't ask for a Tylenol, you asked for, like goat dick. And this was a private insurance, cash money kind of rehab center. This wasn't, Medicare, Medicaid, anything like that. They were not going to cover it. Private insurance, and you're gonna, I guess you're gonna blow part of your trust fund going to this rehab clinic. So that was pretty bad. I mean, it was like, I'm just like really not into this, making really expensive urine. This is not, this isn't real. This is a little bit sus for all you young'uns out there. It became sus. And then, of course, they had their group meetings, and it was led by former residents, which was sort of similar to what happens, I guess, in Scientology, where they become the group leaders and whatnot. I mean, it's not too uncommon, but they were following the teachings of L. Ron. And it was not a Scientology-based rehab center. It seems like it's a fairly common theme. It's sort of like someone who's in Scientology who uses the Scientology methodology for the clinic and creates a separate clinic, and it's based on Scientology practices. So that's sort of the way this thing ran. So you're handing out, goat dick and horse marrow, horse bone marrow, and vitamin C. And the way they would get there is, if you decided you wanted treatment, you would go to a detox center in Battle Creek, which I know nothing about, other than it seemed, from what some of them would say, it seemed like kind of a gulag. Then they were brought by van up to Manistee, and where they were handled by a pretty rigid security team. So when they would come to get their, I can't even say the word meds, when they would come to get their vitamins, they'd all kind of line up. So you'd get 20, 30 kids at one time lined up for their meds, for their vitamins. And you have like 10 minutes. They have 10, 15 minutes to get their vitamins. Then they have to be up onto their floors. And I just remember This was like maybe the first night I was passing out vitamins, and the warden that was working that night, Brubaker, was just really all upset because these kids weren't getting up to the floor when he thought they should be. So I had to say, look, dude, it's my fault. So if you got a problem, you got a problem with me. You don't have a problem with them. So I was already having apprehensions about this due to the passing of vitamins. And then came what could only be described as the bridge that I could not cross. So I guess they were going to hire me, I guess make it official, and they wanted me to sign a bunch of, shall we say, agreements. And these agreements were, not using alcohol, not using narcotics for pain, no gambling. You could smoke. You couldn't do anything, but you could smoke. You basically had to live, to me, you had to live like a recovering addict. Now, if I told you I didn't drink, that would be a lie. But if you gave me, let's say, 1 can of beer and say, if you don't drink this for a year, I'll give you $100. It's the easiest $100 I've ever made. I may drink once a year, maybe. So I really don't drink. But I certainly don't mind, taking a Percocet when, I go to the doctor and you've got a tooth pulled or something. I'm taking a Percocet. I'm not going to take goat dick. And so they wanted me to basically sign my life away and go about life as a recovering addict. And that was just a bridge too far for me. So I gracefully bowed out of the job at the drug rehab center. And that was maybe a little over a week. And that was my time with Scientology. Oh, there's a nice... There, I got you a little Christmassy thing there. So with that, I guess Merry Christmas to everyone but one person. And you know who you are. Gretchen Whitmer. With that, Mr. Treasure Troller, saying aloha and good day.